Hi, I'm Toni Preckwinkle, Chair of the Cook County Democratic Party, and I want to welcome you to the 80, our podcast about the party, its candidates, and its leaders. We're beginning the podcast by interviewing our elected committee people to discuss their backgrounds and thoughts about the history and future of our party. Today, I'm excited to welcome my former colleague, Alderman and Committeeman Rod Sawyer of the 6th Ward. Welcome.
Thank you, President. Thank you for having me.
All right, now tell us where the 6th Ward is and then sort of how you got involved in politics.
The 6th Ward currently locates in the areas of the communities of Chatham, Greater Grand Crossing, Inglewood, Auburn Gresham, and portion of Chesterfield. Those are the communities, and it starts 87 to the south, roughly Cottage Grove to the east, 67th to the north, and west, I go as far west as Bishop on a narrowing basis the further west you go.
Okay, so you're kind of a mid-south side ward.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So, but the 6th Ward has a long and distinguished tradition and history in the city of Chicago. So tell us a little bit about it.
I'll be glad to. 6th Ward has always been known as a solid working class community, historically primarily between the areas of Chatham and Park Manor. Over the years it has expanded, but we were always known as the neighborhood that had well-kept lawns and people that were active socially and politically. So we always had a robust turnout in the past as far as elections go. We had a very vibrant organization. 6th Ward Democratic Organization was a force to be reckoned with. And it was led, I was proud to say that it was led by my dad, Eugene Sawyer.
Right. Now, so the next question which follows is, how did you get involved in politics? And since your father is Gene Sawyer, tell us about it.
I got started at a very young age. I started knocking on doors with precinct captains and with my dad. I answered phones. I did interior work. I worked every election and every candidate that we were known since I was about 8, 9 years old. So I was kind of a natural to it. I was one of the children that kind of naturally gravitated toward politics and really enjoyed the interaction with people. And what really struck me was my dad was able to help people on a personal level. And that really, really hit me at an early age that, my dad was helping people get jobs. And that was something that stuck with me for the rest of my life.
All right. Now, Gene Sawyer was not only the Democratic committeeman, but alderman in the 6th Ward, and actually one of the first African-American elected officials to endorse Harold Washington when he ran for mayor in 1983.
Yes, he was. And it was an easy decision for him, but it was a tough session for him. A lot of people, even in the organization back then, wanted him to back the more popular candidates, which were either Jane Byrne or Daley at the time. But my dad was a longtime friend of, at the time, Senator Washington and Congressman Washington. He had a very good relationship with him, and he felt that it was time for Black people to step up. He was one that saw early on in a 3-person race, as it was then, that the Black community, if they stood together, they had a real fighting chance to get one of their own elected into office. And the rest is history. We were happy to say during that election, we came out, I got to remember, Jacob might be able to help me with this, but I think we came out with somewhat 36,000 votes in the 6th Ward. And ward level, that's a big number to put out for anyone. So we put a big number out there for Harold, and we're very proud of that. And the rest, again, is history.
Right. I think when people talk about Harold Washington in that race, sometimes the role of Gene Sawyer in being at the forefront of the Black elected officials who supported Harold is sometimes overlooked. So,
yeah, and I'll have to say this too, because that was not the first time my dad did something like that. He also was one of the first to endorse Roland Burris in his statewide race for controller at the time. And at the time, it was a very serious race. My father had to put up personal funds of his own, and a lot of the other electeds at the time did that as well. But he was one of the first to endorse Roland Burris, who went on to be our first Black statewide elected official in '78, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so it was part of his approach to politics in the city to advocate for African-American elected officials and opportunities for
Absolutely.
African-Americans.
Yes.
All right. And he served, of course, as the second African-American mayor in the city of Chicago. And when did you become alderman and committeeman?
I became alderman in 2011, although like I said, I stayed active in politics all throughout that time. When my dad, after Harold died, I was in my first year of law school, and I continued working in various campaigns and working for other elected officials. One of my good friends, Leslie Harrison, worked on her campaign, on her first campaign in '99. Worked on several others, but it was just something I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed helping, and just decided to go ahead and do it on my own in 2011.
All right, and you won in a runoff election, a narrow victory, and then you've been elected in 2015, 2019, ever since.
Yes, I've been fortunate enough to still be here and still enjoying what I do. It's a very rewarding experience. I love what I do, and I never feel like I'm working. It just feels like I'm helping people out in the community where I was born and raised.
Sure enough. Now, what kind of advice do you give to young people who are interested in politics?
I want people to understand, find your passion first. Is it education? Is it economic development? Is it safety? And then find out what you can do on a local level in your community to really get involved. Don't just criticize the current elected officials that's there. Go talk to them and find out what they're all about. Find out the areas that interest you and see if you can get involved. And then they're not doing the things that you think are important to you. Then you make that, you make it known that they're not doing their job. They're not doing what you expect them to do, and that you're coming at them. I mean, that's a fair thing. I tell people all the time, I don't expect to keep this position. This position I have to earn every 4 years. And I expected people to be critical and be constructive and make me understand what I need to do better. And my goal is always to want to do better for my community, because I'm not doing this to enrich myself. I'm doing this to help my fellow neighbors in the area, again, where I was born and raised. I feel very strongly about that. And I want people to understand that this is what it's all about for me. And I'm hoping that we get young people to stay in their communities, to grow their communities and make them stronger and more viable. Don't complain about it, then leave and go to the suburbs or go somewhere else. Whether you're in the suburbs of the city, wherever you are, make that area better for those that are coming up behind you. Don't leave it and just say, pray for the best. Stay there, put in the work, and trust me, you will make that area better. So that's be my advice to young people.
All right. You've been in politics a long time. Who are some of the people that you have admired along the way, or you think of as role models?
Well, obviously, in addition to my dad, I had a very strong relationship with John Stroger. There were Senator Charles Chu was my idol when I was a kid.
Why is that?
He had this attitude where, he did what was right for the people. He didn't care about party politics or labels. People that did not know Senator Charles Chu, he was a Republican, but he was very, very active in Black people's affairs. People that may remember that the state was split up differently, where you were forced to have Democratic and Republican legislators in each district. It's not there any longer. We had a lot more Black representation then, but we also had people on both sides of the aisle, and they worked together to get things done. I am a lifelong Democrat, loved it, but one of my dad's best friends was Senator Charles Chu. And when he came around, he just lit up the room because he was very flamboyant, he's very flashy, but he'll never forget your name. He'll know where he met you from. He'll know everything about you and your family. That's something that's important in politics, where you can just see someone and know, what they're doing, how you can help them, or if you helped them in the past, you remember things like that. That really struck me as something that I was really impressed by.
All right. Let me ask you, you've talked a little bit about leaders and mentors. What do you hope to see from the present leadership in Washington?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to see that with the current administration in Washington, I want them to show true leadership, what it looks like. And I want this on all levels, not just the federal level, but everywhere, to start working on developing a bench, making sure that you have younger people that are capable to be placed in spots for whatever reason. If you decide to move on, you go into higher office, you retire, don't just leave us in the dark. Make sure that we're grooming people to succeed us. And I don't think that's a defeatist attitude. I think that's just something we should all be doing, to let people know that you have a shot to be somebody in this area. I'm not going to be here forever. I want you to come stand with me, learn what I know. And I want that from a federal level, but I want that on all levels of government, that we bring people up, bring people in, and let them know that, we want to work with you. This is something that's not owed to us. This is something that we work every 2 years, every 4 years to do. And we want to make sure that others get a chance to do it and do it well. So I want that on all levels of government, particularly on the federal level. We have a President Biden who's a wonderful gentleman. He's been around in politics a long time. And I want him to make sure that we have people groomed and ready to succeed him whenever he's ready to call it a day and move on in retirement or do what he needs to do as far as his 4 or 8 years are concerned.
All right. Let me ask you a final question here.
Sure.
There are undoubtedly young people who are watching this program or listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for them if they're interested in politics, or they're curious about what a political life might be like, or what service in government might be like?
Again, I think that the Cook County Democratic Party has a wonderful platform with the YDs. Those that don't know, that's Young Democrats. I was fortunate enough to serve as a Young Democrat. That's where you get to meet other young leaders, other people that have the similar interests as you, if you really want to be involved in civic activity and politics. Politics is not a dirty word. This is how we get things done. This is how laws are made from our true local level. So get involved. Talk to your committeeman, talk to your alderman, talk to your commissioners, state reps. We are just regular people that live in your neighborhood. We live down the street from you. Reach out to us and let us know what your interests are. I would say the lion's share of us will bring you in with open arms, show you the ropes, let you know what you need to do to proceed on. But I think the Young Democrats is something that's far underutilized right now. And it's a perfect opportunity to get people to understand what it takes to get involved in local elected politics, and shows you the ropes by the various tools that you have through the party to get young people truly involved and make sure that they have a career that's grounded, but at the same time, it is what you make of it. So get involved. Contact the Cook County Young Dems, for example. Get there.
All right. Well, listen, thank you very much, Alderman and committee person Rod Sawyer. We're very grateful that you joined us for the podcast, and we're grateful for your service to the people of the 6th Ward in Cook County.
Thank you, Madam President. Of course, we appreciate your leadership and your guidance. And you are also one of my big heroes in going on. But you're just like a big sister, that's all, because you're not that much older than me.
Thank you. Thank you, Rod.